All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving our praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today is August 4th, 2025, Missile Monday. And I don't have an article today, but I do have this post that I came across earlier. And it says, President Trump says we're totally prepared for nuclear war with Russia. So I'm just going to read, the capture from this post and then bring out a few scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. And it says, U.S. President Donald Trump recently made headlines by stating that the United States is totally prepared for a nuclear war with Russia. And I'm here to tell you that America is not ready for a nuclear war with Russia. It is not, because out of the, 9 nuclear armed nations, Russia and America both possess, the most nuclear missiles or warheads in particular, and in between those two countries, Russia has more than America. So America is not ready. You can sit and believe what Trump is saying all you want, but America ain't ready, man. Because that's not what's prophesied. The fate of this place is prophesied that it's going to go out by fire, man. So you can sit and believe that, America is that once feared nation, that it used to be, but is not anymore, So continuing on. It says his remarks came in response to highly provocative comments made by Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council and former Russian president, who issued aggressive warnings regarding the conflict in Ukraine. Trump emphasized that the U.S. cannot take such threats lightly and must remain vigilant and ready for any possible escalation. Well, Russia isn't the only nation that's threatening America, man. Kim Jong-un, he stays threatening America, man. Haven't heard anything, from him lately, but that man, he's ready to send nukes over here as well, But as we know, the main nation, that is going to take this place out on a small scale is going to be Russia. It's prophesied that Russia is going to take down Babylon, which modern day Babylon, is America, So it says, in a rare move, Trump publicly ordered the repositioning of 2 nuclear capable submarines to strategic regions as a show of strength and deterrence, which while such military assets are routinely deployed around the world, their overt mention marked a significant escalation. It was interpreted by many as a deliberate signal to Russia. Trump framed this move as a necessary step to defend the United States and its allies from potential nuclear aggression. Well, what about Germany? They're one of your allies, but yet they asked for help, and pretty much you said you weren't going to help Germany. You pretty much gave them the finger. You pretty much said F them, which is why they were looking for help from France or the UK, for nuclear protection, Trump claims that, or not claims, but, he had those submarines put in specific spots. But he had nuclear submarines placed in specific spots to protect the U.S. and its allies. But, clearly America's allies don't trust America, in the event of nuclear war. It's the reason why also, Japan also was looking to, build their own nuclear arsenal, because they don't trust America, to have their back, during war. So I'm just going to finish up. It says the comments and actions have drawn mixed reactions. Supporters viewed them as a strong stance against Russian intimidation, while critics warned that such rhetoric could dangerously raise tensions and bring both nations closer to conflict, and that's what's happening. That's what's happening, and that's what's going to happen. But again, just like it says, the least of the flock, is going to draw them out, which the least of the flock is referring to, the small hats, over there in the land. They're going to cause Russia and America to step in on behalf of, their allies, which that's who this coming Third World War is going to be, against. The main two nations that are going to be at war with each other are going to be Russia and America. And it says, many political analysts have expressed concern that Trump's approach resembles Cold War style brinkmanship rather than the diplomatic strategy. Slovakia. Trump's statement has reignited discussions about nuclear deterrence, military readiness, and the border geopolitical implications of strained U.S.-Russian relations. While there is no immediate sign of direct military confrontation, the exchange highlights the fragile nature of international diplomacy in a world still armed with nuclear missiles. So again, man, Trump, you patriotic you patriotic Americans out there, you can still believe, this puppet all you want to, but this place is not ready, man. You Americans aren't ready. America is not prepared. They're still making updates to their, current nuclear stockpile. All of the nuclear missiles that have been, activated, or they're updating them or replacing older missiles. They're not ready. Russia is ready. North Korea is ready. China is ready. All of these different nations that are against America are ready. But America isn't prepared to go to war with Russia. And this is what you people don't want. You people don't want this to happen, man. But us, the men of the Lord willing, would be of the elect. We want this to happen. Why? Because the end of Babylon means the beginning of the kingdom of heaven, which is going to come and play out on the earth, But sticking to the main point that America is not ready for a nuclear war against Russia. America is not and will not win this coming Third World War. So I'm going to start with the book of Revelation, chapter 11, and verse 14. It says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And right, man, the second woe being World War II, because you had World War I, from the late, it's like not late, but, the early 1900s, from about 1915 to, I want to say, like 1919 or something like that, if I have the years correct. If I'm not, Slovakia, I'll look it up, and get the years correct. But, the early 1900s, then, you had World War II from 1939 to 1945. Slovakia. And now you have this Third World War, which is on the horizon, and it's on the way, because this is what you have. Brothers was talking about it, at camp this past Saturday. The internet is pretty much connected the world, because if you were going to war, usually it would be against a neighboring, city or country, but now you have, I said country, but, a neighboring city or land, I wanted to say, but now you have these different countries, that are at war. Again, you have the East versus the West, Russia versus America, That's how this is going to play out, So the second war's past, the third war is coming quickly, man, which again, that third war is World War III. It's on the horizon, man. Don't get mistaken, it's coming. But it won't come to pass until Revelation 13 and verse 16, The mark of the beast is made mandatory, and the people that are slated to, receive it, get it, So this is the book of Malachi, chapter 4, and verse 1. It says, "For, behold, the day cometh, that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that I shall leave them neither root nor branch." And right, man, the day that cometh that shall burn as an oven, that's talking about World War III, man. This nuclear war, because this is not going to be, a traditional war like how ancient warfare was fought, right? So let me grab that in the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, and verse 5, and it says, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire." And right, that confused noise, you're hearing, swords, hit shields, swords, clang up against other swords, men screaming because, they've, been cut, or men, letting out that war cry, hand-to-hand combat, That's what ancient warfare was fought with, hand-to-hand combat, men having, these different weapons of war, swords, spears, shields, bow and arrows, things of that sort, men on one side of the battlefield, charging the men on the other side of the battlefield and meeting each other in the center, man. That's how ancient warfare was fought, man. But this coming Third World War is going to be fought with nuclear missiles, and I have to make mention, as always, that you will have ground troops that are going to be going to war with each other, but this war is primarily going to be fought with these nuclear missiles, So all of you guys that are in the military that aren't of the elect, you're through, because once you get drafted, you're not coming home, man. You're going to die over there in Saudi Arabia. So kiss your family goodbye, because you ain't coming home. So staying in Isaiah, I'm going to get the book of Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 16. It says, "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals and the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy." And right, man, this is what we have on the earth, man. These nuclear missiles, because what does a blacksmith do? They create weapons of war. And the modern day smith would be these scientists and physicists that are behind creating and developing these nuclear missiles, man. Because these aren't just any weapons, man. Any old weapons of war. These are weapons of mass destruction. The nuclear missiles that are on the earth today have the capability of destroying the earth, But as it says in the scriptures, roughly paraphrasing, the earth abideth forever. The entire planet Earth will not be destroyed, but certain lands will be destroyed, America will be left completely desolate, Israel is going to be destroyed, but it's going to be built back up and made beautiful again. I believe, other lands are going to get hit, but, they'll be built back up as well. America is not going to recover from this war, man, So you can sit and believe that, America is still how it used to be. It's not, man. It's not. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, and verse 4. It says, "The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle." And right, man, you're going to hear these missiles because they're going to make a lot of noise, man. You're going to hear them being guided by that rocket propulsion system, man, because it's going to make a loud noise, because there's going to be so many of them, thousands upon thousands of them, headed towards America, and that's the noise in the mountains, like as of a great people, man. These missiles headed toward America. And again, it says, "The Lord mustereth the host of the battle." Because again, Russia's going to send these nukes to America, right? Verse 5, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. And right, man, these missiles are going to be shot from one end of the earth to the other, so missiles are going to be launched from Russia, and they're going to land in America, or launch from, China and land in America. It doesn't matter. These missiles are going to come from a far place, and land over here in the West, and just like it says, even though we know, pursuant to Genesis 27:40, that Esau Edom's blessing is the sword, that these nuclear missiles that are on the earth, they're really the weapons of the Lord's indignation, man. The weapons of his righteous anger, because that's what indignation means, man, that righteous anger, because he's going to take Esau Edom out, because that's a very proud statement that Trump made. Oh, well, America is ready for it, or is prepared for a nuclear war with Russia. No, you're not, man. You're not. I'm here to tell you, you're not ready, man. Vladimir Putin ain't effing around. He's just, one of the few leaders that is ready to take this place down, But again, this is, the pride of Esau Edom. He still thinks America is great. It's not as great as it used to be, Then you people tend to forget that the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, made America great. We made this country what it is, but it's going to be destroyed, So have that pride all you want, Nero. America is not going to make it. So I'm going to get the book of Revelation, chapter 7 and verse 1. And it says, after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Right. These are 4 literal angels holding back the 4 winds, which the 4 winds represent the destruction, man, this coming Third World War, that is going to be fought in the very near future, Verse 2, and I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. And right, man, this destruction won't take place again till the mark of the beast, which is spoken of in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 16 to 18, is made mandatory. And those individuals out there in the world, especially in America, that are slated to get it, receive it, then once the elect are sealed, man, then this destruction is going to take place, because there's an appointed time, when this destruction is going to happen. So I'm going to end it with the book of Revelation, chapter 9, and verse 15. And it says, and the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And right, there's a particular hour, day, month, and year when this war is going to take place. We don't know. Only the Heavenly Father knows, because in the midst of World War III, our Lord Yahweh Shah is going to return, to the earth to wreak havoc on this place as well, So again, it says, for to slay the third part of men, because you have 3 classes of men on the earth. You have the sons of God, which are the biblical Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the tribe of Judah, all the way down to the tribe of Issachar. You have the tribe, Slakia, the sons of men, which are the heathen nations, the sons of men. And then you have the sons of the wicked, which would be, the nation of Edom, which is the so-called white race. That's who this destruction is for. It's for you, This destruction, this coming destruction is for you, especially you Americans, man. This destruction that is about to befall the planet Earth is for you, You will have 2/3 of the nation of Israel that are going to get caught up in this destruction, And you also, you heathens, whichever of you heathen nations that weren't able to return to your homeland before this war starts, you're just over here to die. You're collateral damage, You're just, an NPC, non-playable character, man. You're just over here to make your little money and die. That's it. You know. Verse 16, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them, and that's how many missiles are going to hit this place, man. Thousands upon thousands of nuclear missiles, warheads in particular, are going to hit this place and destroy it, man. That's the fate of this place. Trump can sit here and say America is prepared for a war with nuclear. It's like Trump can sit and say that he's, America is prepared for a nuclear war with Russia. Well, sorry. Not sorry. America is not ready for that, man. That's the one thing you people should want to not happen, which a lot of you don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen anyway. And you're going to be a part of it, So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till next time I say, Shalom.